a week and a half away now. So, following up on the little video I did last week on reading comprehension question A, very short recap on what you have to remember for question B. Lads, it's worth 50 marks. That's the same as studied poetry. Give it a bit of time, give it a bit of respect. 30 to 40 minutes in the exam be plenty. Just be careful with the way you're writing. It's a great writing task, we know that. If you are original and imaginative while engaged with the question, if you take a bit of time to think before you write, if you take a bit of time to reflect on the way you write, you're going to score well here. This is a section where you can pick up marks. Loads of people drop marks unnecessarily here. What do we know the basics? Look, 3 question Bs. You've got to do 1. We know that, right? What's the rule? Question A, question B have to come from 2 different texts. Okay? We know that. As I said, 50 marks, 12.5%, same as studied poetry. There's, in the incremental areas to pick up marks. I said in the last video on reading comprehension A, those third questions, the style questions, so many people score badly there. You could pick up a few marks there. Here, the average score here, down in the H4s, below 35. Get yourself up over 35 here. Show a bit of imagination, show a bit of wit, show a bit of discipline, show a bit of ambition. These could be vital marks that you'll pick up. We know the rules for answering questions are the same across the paper. We want to see structure, beginning, middle and end, BME. We want to see your points to have a logical sequence and to have a sense of planning and coherence, one flowing into the next. We want you to answer the feckin' question. PCLM is the marking scheme. P is the bar. The score you get for P cannot be exceeded by L and the M. So answer all aspects of the question. Very important here. Write in a way which is clear, which makes it easy for me or whoever's marking your paper to understand what you're saying. Punctuate properly. Yes, if you can be, if you're at the top end, be ambitious in your language. But for most of us mere humans, just be clear. Use language in a simple and easy to understand manner. We know that these question B tasks there's an expectation that you're going to display an understanding of language. In particular, these tasks usually require you to be persuasive or to convince an audience, to use language in a discursive or argumentative way. So that idea of being audience facing is important. So just be aware of that. This is where you'll look at your discursive essay writing mind map or your persuasive writing mind map, and you'll employ some of the tools there depending on the question. The rule here, for every 10 marks available, try and write a paragraph. You do write an introduction here, you do write a brief conclusion, and then in the middle, 3, maybe 4 good, strong paragraphs. You don't have to fill up pages and pages. Be precise, be concise, be accurate, and do the jobs that the question tells you to do. For most of you, you're going to leave these too short, 100, 250, 300 words. The better students will hit between 400 and 500 words. I know I say 5 to 6 there, but that's me being hungry and ambitious. And you're going to write between 2.5 pages of the answer booklet. As I said already, 30 minutes should be loads. You've got up to 40, but if you take 10 minutes extra here, you're losing 10 minutes in the A or the composing section. Just remember, these question Bs, you're adopting a persona. You're pretending to be someone you're not, or you're pretending to be in a situation that you're not really in. So what does that mean? Well, you're pretending to be writing for a magazine, or you're pretending to address an audience, or you're pretending to write an introduction to something. These are the umbrella formats. Really carefully examine the B and say, okay, what am I supposed to be doing here? What am I pretending to be doing here? This is a list of some of the types of tasks that have been set over the last 3, 4, 5 years. And if you look at them, they all have something in common. Open letter, text of a podcast, editorial, feature article, promotion. All of those will have an audience. They're all trying, in every one of them, you're trying to address that audience and usually either convey information or persuade them of the importance of something. So audience awareness is important in a question B. Now, again, there might be a question B this year where that is not the case, but that has been the case. Even the one last year, we'll look at it in a second, where Salim had to write to his mother. She was the audience. Now, vital thing to remember. The question, if it follows the pattern of the last 5 years, and I expect it to, will contain 3 specific instructions. The examiner is looking for you to write at least one, to address all 3 of those instructions. And it's generally easier for you structurally to do a paragraph on each one. Now you can take a slightly different approach and they can overlap within your answer, but you must address all 3 of those instructions. If you don't address all 3 of those instructions, and if you don't pay attention to the umbrella task, then you're losing P marks. And don't forget, for every P mark you lose, you multiply that by 3. So if an examiner thinks that you've done a really good job with the umbrella format and you've addressed 2 of the 3, and this often happens, 2 of the 3 instructions really well, but the third one not so much, you might get a score of 10, maybe even 11 out of 15 for your purpose. But if you get 11, you've dropped 12 marks and your score comes tumbling down to a maximum score of 38, which is a H3. And if you drop a couple of marks in language or mechanics, you could be getting a H4. So just be really, really careful that you give enough time and enough space in your answer to each of the specific tasks. That's good advice, okay? Be calm. It's creative writing. Show a bit of imagination. These are the 3 tasks from last year. There's the personal letter. There's the colon. And then each one then is followed by an instruction. Describe, reflect, consider. Describe, you see there's a bit of aesthetic language expected. Reflect, a bit of personal writing. Consider, a bit of discursive writing. So the different skills. Don't overthink that. But you can see the different skills that you're supposed to, the different usages of language that you're supposed to be aware of. They're looking for you to display at least some command over those in that task. Just a little health warning. That one last year, not too many people did it because the DA that was attached to it was really popular. But in that one, you had to imagine that you were the person in the passage. Loads of people forgot that. They started writing as themselves. It had to be a new personal letter that reflected new experiences in the year since the passage was written. Loads of people just wrote about what was in the passage. So, don't jump into it. Think carefully. Fully understand what you're being asked to do, because otherwise you're just giving away silly marks. Second one was a personal reflection for an educational history magazine. So personal writing. You had to recall an experience of visiting a place of interest, historic interest. Outline the expectations you had, so that's personal writing. Describe, that's a bit of aesthetic language and storytelling, narrative writing. And argue, there's your discursive skills again, or persuasive skills. That was a nice one. Some students did really well on that. Very few people answered that last year, but many people who did really well on it because, maybe they had a particular interest in history and a passion for talking about places that they visited. This was the most popular one last year. There's generally one that's really broad. Again, this was one with an audience school website. Don't forget, any kind of magazine, website, article, blog, give it a headline, give it a subheading, be audience aware. At the end of your answer, offer your readership feedback opportunities, social media, invent some social media links, bit of creativity. And this was a lovely question, very popular last year. So an article about the increasing role of technology in schools, describe positive ways technology is utilised, discuss whether or not you think it's a negative influence, and speculate about the role you think it's going to play in the future. That was just a gorgeous question that allowed you to be really, really, really imaginative. Don't forget, if you're in my classes, I've given you sample answers to all of those tasks. That's that. Wasn't too long, was it? Hope the preparation is going well. Nice and calm, nice and relaxed. You're all set with about a week and a half to go. Cheers, folks, and good luck with everything.